This is a non-title match. This match was signed before the Mongolian Stomper won the Southwest Heavyweight title, and he will defend that title here in the Coliseum ring against El Gran Apollo, a guy with a lot on the wrestling ball, here on Friday, July 30th. Remember, no wrestling next Friday night, but a week from next Friday night, there's going to be another super card, super action, super movement in that ring. Girl wrestlers, Southwest Tag Team title bout, Southwest title bout, World title bout, and the belt being handed to Bruce Pritchard is not at stake, but Don Carson is not one to miss a point. He wants these people to know that the Mongolian Stomper, whom he manages, is indeed the Southwest champion. Carson, who takes great pains in his managing and in his psychology of handling the Stomper. You just saw an expert at work. Carson wants his own time in the air. He wants everybody to just take a back seat while he goes through his own ritual of handling the Stomper. One thing we are certain of, and that is that the Stomper, under some conditions, is not likely to obey any commands from anybody, particularly when he senses the thrill of victory and perhaps even when he feels the agony of defeat. You can't tell. But he listens to no one, but he does listen to Carson. And Carson doesn't like it when fans make noise. The Stomper claims that he has sensitive ears. Well, the crowd here is prone to disregard the heartfelt plea of Don Carson for a little bit of quiet shuffling of the feet instead of the raucous noises they are making. Look at the face on that man. Our director, Ed Worthington, has some magnificent shots of that face. And some night we're going to make a short tape and show you the many moods of the Mongolian Stomper. It's Casey with his back to you, and Casey is the kind of a guy who fights back and fires the blows when things start coming his way. Driving kick. What Casey can't do with his hands, he can do with his feet. Stomper is not impervious to pain, but he has an ability to bounce back and to start dishing it out soon after taking a lot of heavy punishment. Kozak watching closely, keeping his eye on the Stomper and on Casey underneath. Side headlock is the hold. That watermelon-like head could be difficult to hang on to. There is a tilt back, but he's got him by the trunks. He needed a handle that time to handle Scott Casey, if you pardon the redundancy, but he was holding on to those tights because they could get no purchase by just merely grabbing the body and trying to roll it. There's Carson trying to get the referee's attention. And when he does, it was the Stomper who rolled around into the top position. So the Stomper stays on top of Casey, even though Casey has the hold. It doesn't mean that he is in the best position. Knowing when to release a hold, to let go of it, to get out, and to get into a better position to battle back is a prime requisite of the veteran. You learn it mostly from experience. So the Stomper tries to set him up, but he didn't set him up very well. And Casey, with a drive of his, there's the tilt back, but notice that hands where it caught the trunks and turned him up and on his shoulders. Muscular arm of Scott Casey comes down from underneath, wraps around that neck, and stiff, stout neck it is, I'll tell you. This Stomper has a deep, deep devotion to exercise. He does hundreds and hundreds of deep knee bends, sit-ups in the dressing room prior to the match, works up a sweat. In his regular workout, he numbers the sit-ups and the deep knee bends in the thousands. Wrestling is one sport where every participant has his own way of training. He's the only person to whom he is obligated is himself. In the case of the Stomper, Carson has a lot to do with it. But Casey is the kind of a man who has a well-rounded exercise program. So Casey hangs on to the head, and Stomper tries to get rid of him. Now that's a tough cookie, and don't you forget it. But Casey is a boomerang. You throw it at him, and he throws it right back. Underneath, Stomper, and again, that head of his, that picturesque head, is a rarity in itself. Now on Friday, July 30th, on the super card here at the Sam Houston Coliseum, and a super card it is. The Stomper will beat El Gran Apollo, the Latin American who has really caught on in a tremendous way here. Fine looking young man, but that's only part of it. When you meet a man like the Stomper, you'd better be as tough as you can be, and never mind the good looks. You might not have them long. So Casey drops in there and starts trying to put dents in that head, and Carson is objecting to the knee. He's objecting to the use of it, and he's worried because it's hitting his man in the head. Kozak watching closely, and Casey turning in a masterful defense against the Mongolian Stomper. Stomper sometimes takes longer to catch on to the style of another wrestler than the average fellow. But part of this is due to the fact that he can take more punishment than other people, and does. Oh! I thought he was going to come with a headbutt. He was too smart for that. He came up with the knees, and there's still strength left in the Mongolian Stomper. We are proud of our card here on Friday, July 30th. Notice the offensive move that time as he leaped across that ring. And looking for the soft spot and drove it up in there. Head scissor for the Mongolian Stomper. And again, though those ears bother him. It would be no trade secret to say that in the dressing room tonight I saw him swabbing his ears with Q-tips and alcohol. So somewhere in there he's got a weak spot in his head through his ear. And the injury to the ear is not the cauliflower kind that comes on the outside. The injury is inside. I mentioned we're proud of our January 30th, July 30th card. I'll get out of January before long. The world title match with Dick Slater, the great star from Florida who has, well, the people here are disregarding Don Carson, and I think it's an awful shame. I find no sympathy for
Ladies
Don
and gentlemen,
Carson.
do not throw anything in the Coliseum. Do not throw anything in the Coliseum.
Casey came out well in response to the noise of the fans, sounding off well and got him inspired. Side headlock is Casey's effort to keep control of the Mongolian Stomper. That's landing right along the jaw, and it's tough to take. The knee has a greater power than the fist. You can break bones in the fist, hitting the man in the head. The knee can really drive like a piston. Caught him in the midsection. Casey fighting to get his head out of trouble. And now looking, and he's got him on the head up around the ears where it can do some good. So here is a trading of head scissors, and it could be that Scott Casey is going to manage to equalize things and come out on top here. Carson, borrowing the microphone, managed to get some words across there, but I don't know that they did any good. Hearing the words and then not, and being able to put the advice into action, two different things. So Casey now is in trouble. The pounding down across the chest, a legal blow, and you can lay in a lot of solid muscle behind your wallop when you use the forearm in that fashion. Casey trying to keep that hand from coming down. That's the claw hold that the Stomper is trying to use. And Casey came out of it. Found his mark. Sharpshooting with the toe of the boot is the reason he got the name of the Stomper. And he uses the kick well. Driving kick. Stomper on top. Not for long. Casey knows a dangerous situation when he sees it. And the crashing into the hard pad of that turnbuckle. And in for the fall, if he can get it. Nah, he couldn't get it. And he may not get it at all. There come those educated feet of Amarillo's Scott Casey. And he has now the advantage over the Mongolian Stomper. He's looking for that shiny pate. It's a great target. On top is Casey, and he came as close to getting a fall as the Mongolian Stomper did. This is a non-title match. Remember this, Mongolian Stomper is not defending his Texas title, but look at the way he tossed the 230 pounds of Scott Casey. And Casey going for the suplex hold, and he not only lifted him, but dropped him and solidly and hard. And again, from underneath, the Stomper comes up to toss him free and clear. And both of those big boots, both of those heavy shoes caught him in the kisser, and Scott Casey now, as the tables reversed, as he catches the edge of the hand blows in the back of the neck, in the great profusion. The Stomper hanging on. He's got a great grip, and he pours it to him in there. The Cobra hold. This stops the flow of blood to the brain, much in the manner of the standard sleep hold. And he could have him right here. He could have him right now, as Don Carson comes in and tells
Winner of the first fall,
Nick
15
Kozak
minutes,
that he
2
will tell him
seconds,
what
the
to do.
Mongolian Stomper.
The Mongolian
1
Stomper
minute left.
wins the first fall of this 2 out of 3 fall match. We'll be back with more, but first a word from JJ's Furniture and Sleep Shop, where you get treated like you were a king when you want a king-size bed.
Ten seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Second fall.
Nick Kozak argues with Don Carson to get him out of the ring as we return here for the second fall of this battle between the Mongolian Stomper and Texan Scott Casey. The Stomper was sprawling all over him, and he was taking advantage of the fact that Casey's throat was up against that top rope, leaning his weight in there heavily and using the rope to do the choking instead of himself. The pounding of the Stomper, and there goes Casey, sprawled all over the cold concrete right now. As he appears, the Stomper is more than ready for him. That Stomper is a fearsome visage to suddenly find in front of you. Casey on the outside, maneuvering around the ring and trying his best to get a crack at going back into the ring without catching a foot in his face from the Mongolian. The pounding is the Stomper's. Here he lays him into the turnbuckle. And, oh, that man is solid and tough. And the solidness makes a man tough. You can do more things with the body that is hardened to go either accept or dish out punishment. But what about those kicks in the belly? The one that Casey delivered right then and there was a beauty. And so was the wallop to the head. Don't count Casey out. This is the second fall rather, of a 2 out of 3 fall match. And Casey needs this fall to stay in it. If the Mongolian Stomper wins it, the match will be over. He's going for the abdominal stretch. He's got him pulled in 2 directions at the same time. And as we look underneath that arm, we find that the Stomper is saying no. The crowd is chanting KC, and Nick Kozak is asking the Stomper if he wants to capitulate. More work. Don Carson trying to get his message across. You can almost hear the Stomper thinking, yeah, it's easy for you to say, but I'm caught in this hold up here, being torn in 2 directions at the same time. Abdominal stretch, a great way to twist all the intercostal muscles, the muscles between the ribs. And now he managed to get that foot free, and it gave him the chance to use the hip lock and get out of it. Now as Casey moves in, searching for a soft spot. Now Casey has given him a great match. And this is the kind of a battle that El Gran Apollo will give this man that you're looking at right now, the Southwest Heavyweight Champion. It's the kind of a match El Gran Apollo will turn loose on Friday, January 30th, when the title will be at stake. Reverse chin lock. Backbreaker, because he's sitting on his back and he's got a nice curve in the Stomper's back. And this can turn into a submission hold. Just depends. Every man's tolerance when the back is bent. Every man's tolerance is a little bit different. Stomper's in trouble. Casey trying to force him to give in on this fall and not having a great deal of luck with it. Nick Kozak doesn't know whether he's gotten through to the Mongolian Stomper or not. Staying in position, give him the benefit of the doubt if he insists that he's going to capitulate. Just another way of applying the same hold as
5 minutes.
Scott Casey pours it to him and pulls him up. Turns into a hold in which all of the pressure goes on the back. Listen to him. Therefore, Casey, and besides, they don't know how to say anything in Mongolian, and they're not likely to get a Mongolian chant going. Underneath, the Stomper trying to roll into a position where he can't use that hold. Now he's going for the ropes. He's a couple of feet away from the ropes, maybe 3 feet, and he's getting there an inch at a time. Here's where the toughness is apparent. The little move toward the rope becomes extremely difficult to make. No, Casey is not putting his foot against that post. That's just the strange thing that happens to the camera when it compresses distances. Pressure's on the chin, and notice that the Stomper is staying down closer and closer to the ropes. And now we could, depending on what the referee decides, yes, he says break it. And Casey takes advantage of the loophole. He starts going after him immediately. Crotch hold and backbreaker, and Casey's on top. It was 2, that's all. And Casey's wondering how tough is this guy that he can take that hold for so long and then not succumb to a backbreaker. A body slam, and Casey in again, trying to glue him to the canvas. And again, look at that. All that strength still left, and right back again comes Scott Casey. Tried to catch him by surprise and didn't succeed. Driving in there with that headbutt. Solid smash as Casey now tries to set the Stomper up. Caught him with only 1 foot. He'd like to have hit him with 2. And the effort is, and there goes Carson, there goes the roll up, there goes the fall. Scott Casey wins the equalizing fall.
Winner of the second fall, 8 minutes, 13 seconds,
Carson
Cowboy
arguing.
Scott Casey. 1 minute rest.
We'll be back in a moment. Let's hear a word from our traveling man, Mr. I.W. Marks.
Seconds.
So time is running down now
10
as
seconds.
Don Carson tries to
5,
lay
4,
things
3,
along
2,
there for
1. The third and deciding
the
fall.
Mongolian Stomper. This is the third and deciding fall. And Casey senses that if he's going to do anything, he's going to have to do it rapidly. He's put a stop to that kick, but how do you stop the rabbit punch? Give and take. And as he lowers the boom on Scott Casey, Casey doesn't have any place to go except down into that canvas, and he knows it. Here's one of the Stomper's best holds. It's a good one. It's a good one. He's got the arm wrapped up. He's got that front headlock, and he is able to pour it in there where he can lean his weight on his opponent. Casey's going to have to fight to get out. It's possible that he could go unconscious from this grip, depending on how you treat the carotid artery. Stomper in position. And, oh, he delivers some vicious blows with the edge of that hand. He doesn't do it often, but when he does it, you are bound to feel it. Laying it in there. Again, we point out this great similarity in style between El Gran Apollo, who meets the Mongolian Stomper on Friday, July 30th, and Scott Casey. Gran Apollo is going to give this Stomper a tremendous battle for the Southwest Heavyweight title. The title is not at stake in this match, but it will be at stake on Friday, July 30th, with the Stomper battling Gran Apollo. There was a smash by both men. It was directed, both of them looking for the top position, and they didn't get it. They hit in there equally. Listen to these fans as they scream. They try to get the Stomper stay there, but they'd like to wake Casey, awaken him to the possibilities of the moment. But his moment has passed. The Stomper is in a defensive position. Drop kick works better when you're in full command of your faculties. So Casey landed on his back that time. The Stomper just barely maneuvering into place. And as he takes him, he stomps. And there comes the Stomper, that driving foot into the midsection. And Casey got out, but not with finesse. But that doesn't really count. What does count is the fact that he is able to get out of that position. Cross chin lock. And he's got him into position there where he can pour down the pressure on the side of the neck, lays it in there, and the Mongolian Stomper has definitely the hold there. He lifted the hand once, the referee. He lifted it again, and Casey, aware of what was happening, slowed the drop of that hand. There's two, but he bounced the hand back. He's trying to show the referee that he is not out. He can't tell him. There's no way that he can indicate it except with movement of the hand. And listen to this raucous reception this crowd is giving this great battle that Scott Casey is putting up against the Mongolian Stomper. laying it in there solidly and for sure. And he stopped him right in midair, and the Stomper fell in there, but there is a tangle as they fight for the possession of that leg. And now Casey starts just flailing away. He wants to keep that Stomper busy. He wants to worry him. He wants to hurt him. He wants to blast him. And things are starting to come back to him, and he is making better use of his faculties. Swing and a wallop. 5 minutes have gone by, and the Stomper coming at you. He's got the sleep hold, and this is Scott Casey's favorite hold. This is the hold with which he wins the majority of his matches. He turned his attention in the wrong direction, went after Don Carson. And they quickly changed the picture. On top is the Stomper. There is the fall, and the fall goes to...
Winner of the third fall in the match, 5 minutes, 34 seconds, the Mongolian Stomper.
It's the Mongolian Stomper who comes up with the fall, and again, that man with that fearsome face. This time, I think he was told by Don Carson to go after Scott Casey. There's the hold, the Mongolian Cobra hold, and we've got a little action going on in the ring here as El Gran Apollo bounces up into the ring and chased. Well, at least he made a move, and the Stomper got out of the ring and he let go of Casey. But it was Gran Apollo who came in to put a stop to the possibility of Scott Casey getting hurt. And there's Tiger Conway Jr., who has come there to commiserate with him. Be back here in a moment. Right now, let's have this word from the studio.